Hey, welcome to another edition of Local Focus. I'm your host, Sebastian Noel. It's district time, all the other stuff behind us. We went through the Metro tournament, did all that, and now we went to the Hope tournament, which is always fun for us here at Proview Networks, and now we're pretty heavy into district play. Be sure to log on to proviewNetworks.com to see the entire schedule of our broadcasts. Follow along there and get your NFHS network pass now. Carry it out through the state tournament. It's pretty cheap to watch the amount of games we do. One of the best districts in the state, probably not at the big school level, and it's down in 4A, and that's an in-town district right here in Albuquerque that features Albuquerque Academy, Hope, Bernalillo, Del Norte, the defending champs Valley, and Highland. So that's one of the favorite districts of ours to cover and to follow. And my guest is from the defending champs, and that's Derick Chavez of the Valley Vikings. Welcome, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So we have a lot to get into, defending champs and all, but you guys have a pretty tough one this week. You got Highland and Hope coming up this week. So just talk about that district, man. It's pretty intense.
Highland and Hope are some great teams. We know it's not going to be easy, so we got a full plate in front of us.
I mean, you guys obviously don't have to be reminded that you can't take an off night in that district because last year you guys lost to Bernalillo twice. Bernalillo ends up being the team that doesn't make the tournament. They end up beating the eventual champs twice. So, I mean, how is that different than in other districts around the city?
Every night we have to come out because everyone wants to win. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you're playing. It's district time, it's state. Everyone's just ready to win.
Do you have a favorite opponent in that district?
I like playing Highland. You know, they're gonna come out to get us this year, and it's gonna be a fun matchup.
What about on the other side? Do you have a team that maybe you guys don't care for a lot? You know, a little bit of a rivalry. You like to stick it to them. Is there a team like that in that district?
Del Norte would probably be another one, just because I mean we've played them during summer and stuff, and Malik and all them like to get after it. So
Josh and I went to Del Norte, so we're proud.
No.
Well, that's funny. Let's talk about the Knights a little bit. So you look on them on paper, and even if you watch them warm up, and you're like, what's going on out here?
Yeah.
Who are these guys we're going to mop the floor with, right? But every year they just turn it on. I mean, Coach McIntosh has been there every year. They go to the Final Four, so obviously they're doing something right. What challenge does that Knights team present?
Definitely Malik as the guard. I mean, it's hard to stop him. He's quick. He can shoot. He can drive, and they have a good team.
The coolest thing about that district has to be the places you get to play. Because I know as a player, it's got to suck to play in an empty building.
Right.
But in that district, you have obviously your home gym, which is a huge home field advantage.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have Hope. You know, they win about 90% of their games there. Bernalillo's a pretty intense place to play when it gets loud. And now Highland's got their redone gym there. I mean, talk about just the environments in that district, which is the craziest.
It's never a empty gym, honestly. It's always everyone wants to come watch us play because they know it's going to be a good game. They know our district. It can go either way, and it's a lot of fun to play in those environments.
Now, you were a freshman during that rivalry between you guys and Albuquerque High. Obviously, that's one of the city's best rivalries as well.
Right.
How do some of your district rivalries compare to that?
Nothing close, honestly. Those games are just packed, full, almost sold out. Those are a lot different compared to 4A now Del Norte. I mean, you get a full house, just not as much as that. That's just a whole other level.
Right. And what goes through your mind as a player when you're playing in those environments?
It's an opportunity to like show what you have. You know, a lot of people are there to watch, and it shows what you can do.
Let me ask you this: do you ever hear what's being yelled in the crowd, or are you just totally zoned in? Or?
I'm focused. Like even if there's 10 people in the crowd, like guys, I'm so focused in on the game. I rarely hear what the people have to say.
Is there a difference shooting wise in any of those gyms? I mean, is it easier to shoot in some of those places? I know every shooter. I mean, you're obviously one of the best shooters in the state. I know shooters have their favorite gyms. People say the rims are really soft at Albuquerque Academy, at Sandia. People like to shoot. What are some of the? I mean, is that true? One.
It is because I mean, on our home court, I love shooting at Valley. I mean, I'm used to those rims, and everything seems to go good.
Right. What about away from the Valley? What is there a place that You're like, yeah, I can't wait to get here.
It would probably be Albuquerque High.
Right.
Just knowing the atmosphere that's about to be there, and
Well, you've
be
had
real
some pretty
pumped.
good ones
Right,
at Albuquerque High.
right.
I remember you and I talking after a game there.
Yeah.
So let's go back to that freshman year where you guys had a pretty good squad and you were in another class still with those rivalries. What did you learn from playing with guys like Derick Chavez and some of those guys?
Um, I looked up to like Anthony and Shagun when I was younger. I
Yeah, I
used to
said
go
Derick,
watch.
didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was live TV. Yeah, all right. So I knew that was going to happen. All right, so you looked up to Anthony Sagoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I've been watching them since I was in 6th grade, and they were freshmen then, and they kind of set the tone. And when I got to Valley, they expected a lot from me, and I learned a lot from them.
Well, yeah, I can see that they would expect something from you, but obviously there had to be some love and nurture along the way too, right? So
Yeah.
the first time you screwed up as a freshman, the first time you maybe things didn't go your way, who kind of pulled you aside and really showed you the right way? I mean, what guys were there for you?
If you guys remember Isaiah Torres,
Mhm.
he was kind of that team player, and he would talk to me, and he'd be like, you're good, just keep on going." Like, and he was one that really helped me off on the side of the court.
Now, did you, I mean, anticipate making varsity right away as a freshman? Was that in the bag? Tell us about the tryout process and all that.
Yeah, I mean, the second I got there, I was like, yeah, I can make varsity. I was real confident, and so hard work, and it ended up happening.
So, as a freshman, what was your first impression of Joe Coleman? I mean, to me, as a freshman, Joe would scare the hell out of me. He
Yeah.
still does
Oh,
sometimes.
yeah.
So, I mean, what was here's Derick, the wide-eyed freshman,
Uh-huh.
and here's Coach Coleman. What was your first thoughts?
I was anxious, and I was a little scared. Now, of course, you see him yelling at the players, and you're like, oh no, I don't want that to be me. And no, you learn to just adapt to it.
Do you remember the first time that it was you? Can you
I
tell us
don't.
about
Oh,
that?
he's yelled at us so many times. I mean, jeez.
So nothing that really sticks out?
No.
That's pretty funny. We're going to pick that up after the first break. We'll be right back.
High school sports are back. You can watch every Proview Network broadcast online on the NFHS network. Every moment from every game from every sport, including all NMAA state championship games. Get your monthly pass now. Just go to ProviewNetworks.com, click on the NFHS logo, and sign up today. Watch New Mexico's best. Perez Collision Center is a proud sponsor of Proview Networks and Albuquerque Boxing. Perez Collision Center offers expert knowledge on any of your auto body and paint needs. Give them a call today, 505-254-4655, or stop by for a visit at 2415 2nd Street Northwest in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Perez Collision Center.
Calling all football players, are you looking to develop your skills this season? It's never too late or too early to put in the work. Coach Carl Barrere and the Air Barrere program at 8 Grady's Performance Center provide comprehensive position training for aspiring football players at all levels. Whether you're looking to increase your speed, gain strength, or hone your skill, we train all positions with a team of experienced coaches who know what it takes to succeed at all levels from Yaffle to college. Check us out at 8gradys.com to learn more and sign up for training today.
Plan your adventure at WNMU.edu.
We're back with more of Derick Chavez here of the Valley Vikings. We were just talking about your freshman year, so let's finish that up. You recall what were some lowlights and highlights of that freshman season?
I remember we went for the district championship for the tournament. We went and played at Atrisco, and that's kind of when I got noticed as a freshman. You know, I had, I think, 26 points, and that was a great feeling. Just being a freshman, coming off the bench, getting to score that much, it was real nice.
And that was always a tough place to play in that district. I mean,
Yeah.
they have really good student turnout. Obviously, that was a really good squad back then.
Right.
They defended it well. So, what lowlights? I mean, do you have anything that stands out in your freshman year that you're like, man, that wasn't good, or I need to work on this, or anything that really stands out?
Me as an individual, I was kind of like up and down. I had those games where I was like really outstanding, and then sometimes I'd make freshman mistakes out there and then get pulled out. So that's something that probably was a setback.
And how do you think? I mean, freshman mistakes. Tell us more about that, because you hear that a lot. What's the hardest thing as a freshman on varsity? Is it the speed of the game, or is it the physicality of the game, or is it a combination of both?
It's a combination of both. Definitely the speed. I remember playing summer of 8th grade year, going to be a freshman, and we were playing. I don't know. We were playing someone, and the speed. My head was just turning and going like 100 miles an hour, and that was probably the toughest thing. Not the physicality. I mean, I got pushed around a lot when I was younger, but then yeah, you start to adapt to it also.
Right. Well, we're with one of the best shooters in the state, so we thought we would do a good old-fashioned top 5 list like we used to do back in the day. So in my hand is my top 5 list for top shooters in the state. I'll let you go first because you're the guest.
Okay.
So we have to go in reverse order. Who's your number 5 best shooter in the state? Or I guess we could say city, right? Because we're
Right.
not really. All right.
Right. So my number 5 would probably be Josiah Ramos.
Okay. All right. My number 5 is Derick Isles.
Derick Isles.
All
Okay.
right.
So number 5 would be Josiah Ramos, and then number 4, Jude Tapia.
Okay. I had Jude Tapia at my number 4 as well.
Okay.
So we're pretty similar there.
Right. And then Derick Isles,
Okay.
and then
Boy, hold on.
okay,
All right. At my number 3, I put Dominic Rivas.
Dominic Rivas.
So obviously the state championship, it speaks for itself,
Right.
right? What he's able to do when the lights are the brightest. So that's my number 3.
Okay.
All right. Where are you at now? Number 2, right?
Yes, number 2.
Now we should tell our audience we couldn't include you,
Right.
right? Or else
Right.
I'm assuming you would have fell somewhere on this list.
Number
Right.
1.
Right? So who's your number 2?
My number 2 would be Dom Riva.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Lights out shooter.
Okay. I think my number 2 guy, you left off your list altogether.
Oh.
So you're gonna
I'm
have
here.
some explaining to do. My number 2 guy is Dion Battle,
Oh.
because when
that's
Dion gets going,
he's unstoppable.
he's unstoppable.
Yeah.
I have a feeling you left him off your
I
list
did.
because I think I know who your number 1 is. Who's your number 1?
Eloy.
Medina.
Yeah.
That's my number 1 as well.
Yeah.
Eloy Medina. But man, so the next time you play Volcano,
Oh man.
he's
gonna want it. He's gonna want it. Yeah.
He's gonna want it. So
Yeah.
those are some pretty good lists there, man. Talk about, since we're making these lists, how is it on the court when it's just you're hitting all of yours, maybe one of these guys is hitting all of his?
Yeah.
What's going through your mind when that battle's going on out there? Obviously, it's a team sport, but
Right.
still, there's a guy on each
Mhm.
team that's in the zone. That's got to be pretty
Exactly.
special. Talk about that.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun because once I hit a 3 and then their best player hits a 3 and it just keeps going back and forth and you're like, oh no, what's next? And you kind of have the crowd like, oh no, is he gonna make the next shot or what? And yeah, I like that a lot.
Let me ask you, on the floor when that's happening, do you kind of know who has the upper hand, or do you really not know until after the game when you see the stat sheet?
If they're going off, I mean, you can tell right away. You're like, oh, we got to shut them down or do what you got to do.
Right. But if you're going, like, let's say you and Eloy are going back and forth, right? Do you have a pretty good idea where you guys' totals are at, or that not really?
No, you just know
From the
that
flow,
both are
right?
like, yeah.
Which one of those guys have you had the best shooting night against?
Jude.
Right.
Yeah, Jude.
Right. So we made a list of these really great shooters. Now, who are the guys you don't like to shoot against? There's got to be some guys that really make you work for it defensively, right?
Yeah, I think Albuquerque High, they study you in and out, and also with Highland, I mean, they're in your district. They know you inside and out. They know that I'm a shooter. They know that Shay's dribble, drive, and
Right.
stuff like that.
So when did you start noticing that defenses were game planning for you? Because obviously as a freshman, you can do your thing, right? Just hang
Right,
out on
yeah,
the perimeter.
exactly.
You're going to get those open looks.
Exactly.
But at some point, that had to stop, and teams
Mhm.
had to start defending you and building their game plans around you. When did you notice that started?
Probably sophomore year last year. I mean, everyone knew that I was a shooter, and that was hard to kind of get used to. Because freshman year, like you said, I mean, I was open all the time. Everyone was like, "Oh, he's just a freshman."
That's
I
when
mean,
you get your buckets, right? As a
exactly.
freshman, yeah.
And so now in sophomore year, I had to work for my shots a lot. It was
So
hard.
first time you see a box and one, what's going? You're like, oh
I'm like,
shoot,
oh my
what's going
gosh.
on? First of all, who was it? And then what was your adjustment you make there?
I don't know. All these teams were throwing boxing ones
Right.
at me, and it was hard to get used to it because, like, yeah, I was open all the time, and now I'm having to work off screens, and they're having to work around me. So that's tough.
Does it provide extra motivations for a player knowing that the coach on the other side, their game plan is to try to stop you?
Yeah, definitely.
And what are those adjustments you make? If you know, hey, we're going to play Team X today, and they're always going to box and one us, what's going through your mind at that point? I mean, how does the game plan change as a team?
As a team, I mean, now they kind of just send me to the corner and it's almost like playing 4-on-4 now because they have me locked up, and then we're a big threat as a team. We have all these other players that don't really stand out as much as me, and they can do just as much.
Right. I mean, yeah, the squad you have is pretty special.
Right.
From an outsider, to me as a coach, if I was coaching, it's the team you'd want, right? You have a very
Exactly.
capable point guard that can beat you off the bounce
Right.
and facilitates. Then you have an absolute, stud shooter, and then you got a big guy. I mean, everyone knows how much I love Baker's game.
Exactly.
I was first on that bandwagon.
Oh yeah.
So if people are talking about how great he is now, I was first
You were
on that
first.
bandwagon. Okay.
Right.
But you guys have nice pieces, and then Gio and Adam and all those guys, they know their role. They do everything real well. They defend.
Right.
So I mean, how fun is it to play on that crew? Because I'm sure you played on some teams that weren't as fun and weren't as well put together as that team, right?
Right. My team's not selfish at all, and that's one thing that I like playing about with them is because I rely on my other players because I know what they can do. They all know their role, and I can pass to one of them without being afraid of them to mess up.
Have you, one thing I noticed when you guys are going really well, what I noticed from the announcing position there is you guys don't take bad shots.
Right.
No one takes a bad shot. Everyone knows what the best shot on the floor is going to be that instance.
Right.
Where did that come from? That has to take a while to develop that kind of chemistry, right? Do you feel that on the floor?
Yeah, I do, and Coleman stresses it. He's like, get the best shot we can, because if not, it's a turnover pretty much. If we miss, we take a bad shot, then it's basically a turnover and goes the other way. And that's a easy 2 points or 3 points,
In that district, obviously, that has to be a weapon you guys use because there's some teams in that district, Hope and Del Norte come to mind. Their best shot is the next shot. Right? They love to shoot it. It doesn't matter where it's at.
No.
But you guys a little more disciplined, a little bit more flow to the offense. So that has to be something in the back of your mind. You guys know it. When it comes to a big game, you guys can execute in the half court, right?
Right.
Talk about where that came from. That developed really not till later in the season last year.
Right, and I think it started with Shea being a point guard. He knew what he had to do with the X's and O's and stuff, and how to contribute in that way in the half-court offense.
Right. Well, I want to get into the championship season from last year, which was obviously a pretty special run. So we're going to take our final timeout and talk about that when we get back.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili, breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
What is glamour? Frailty. What is desire? Diamonds. They say a life lived without passion is hardly worth living.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Ma'am?
Dang, this one made me feel all special.
We're back with Derick Chavez of the Valley Vikings. Now let's go back into obviously it was a very special year, that championship year, but I want to talk more about how it all came together.
Right.
Because at this time of the year, if anyone said Valley was going to be the state champs, they were getting laughed at.
Right.
So why the rough start?
We were a young team, and we were still trying to put things together, and everything just happened at the right time, and our chemistry started to come together at the right time. And
Well,
was
let's
good.
not get there yet. I want to focus on the rocky times first.
well,
There had to be a game where you're just like, man, this year is not going right. Or what was your mindset like early in the season when it was bad?
it was we lost to Volcano by like 40 points, and we were kind of like, man, this isn't looking good. So it was tough to go through that adversity because we were losing to teams we shouldn't have, and it was tough.
What does a coach tell you after you lose by 40? There's probably not much you can get told at that point. But what's the mind of the team after a 40-point loss?
Everyone's kind of down on themselves, and we're not real focused anymore. We're still we know it's early in the season, so we're still trying to dig through that, and it's kind of hard, just seeing losing to these teams and by so much, and we knew we had to get our stuff together.
I can remember when that happened. It happened around the Academy tournament time because we were covering the Academy tournament. And I remember being in the hospitality room with a bunch of coaches, and Greg Brown walked in, the head coach of Volcano Vista. And I don't remember who at our table, but someone at our table joked with him and said, "Hey, did you call Joe this morning to check if he's alive?" So it was the talk of the lunchroom, if you will.
Definitely.
But you guys eventually did turn the corner. And we'll get to that in a moment. But I can remember covering a game towards the middle of the year where, Coach Coleman said, "Hey, you know what? This team, they might not gel this year. It just doesn't, I don't know if they like each other. I don't know if they like me. I don't know if I like them, and
Right.
like Coach always says."
Mm-hmm.
But that was real. That's what he was. That was kind of his mindset. He always knew the talent that was there,
Right.
but he had these reservations. So when did you guys kind of think you turned the corner?
Towards district, we made it to the district championship again, and we lost to Hope, but we were right there. Our district was probably the number one district, and we still knew we were right there. We had a little bit of hope in us. And
What was going on in the background there, though? What was, what are the coaches telling you at that time? What's the mindset of the team? Like, hey, was there I guess who has a role of a leader on this team? Who can pull the group together and say, hey, we're going to be all right? Who's doing that at this point?
I don't know if you remember Garrett Mosley.
Mhm.
He was probably the biggest factor in us last year. He saw more in us, and he didn't play much during the season, but he saw our potential, and he kept being on us throughout practices and everything, and I think he helped us a lot.
So now we get to the state tournament. First round matchup was pretty scary, right? So take us
Right.
through that game, and then we'll kind of talk about the ending.
Right, we played Highland at Valley, and we thought we had it. We were like pretty confident. We were like, we got them, and it went down to the wire, and that big freshman, I think, missed a game-winning layup. And so we went into overtime, and we were like, we just have to play our game now and finish this game off. He missed a layup, so we got to just go after it and play our best.
So let me ask you this: where on the floor were you when he was going up for that layup?
I was like right at the free throw line, and like
Did you think it was going in?
I thought it was. 'Cause everything was like slow motion, and the clock was ticking down, and he shot it, and I was like, oh no, and he missed it, and I was like, that's an opportunity for us to win this game.
If you guys pull that nonsense this year, he's dunking it with two hands, right?
Right.
So
right.
that's not a luxury this year.
No,
Because Jose has been playing lights out for them. I
definitely.
think he's averaging 13 and 13 on the year. So
Right.
so you get through that scare. Obviously, you pull that one out in overtime, and then you get to the pit. So let's talk about the first game at the pit.
Yeah, we played Hope in the pit, and we lost to them in the district championship. So we were like, we have to get them back. They were going for their eighth year in a row trying to win
Right. Yeah, one
state.
of those, right?
Yeah, right.
They win them all the time.
But yeah, they were good. I
Right.
mean, their coach is amazing, and we knew we had to take them down. We knew we could do it. We were kind of peaking then. So
Let me ask you this: how much did it help you guys that you came from a higher classification to play them? Because a lot of I've done Hope games at the pit where teams are just flat out intimidated. But the fact that you guys have always played the big dogs, did that help?
it did a little bit because I mean we were playing at Trisco and all those 6A schools back then, and it helped us a lot because we were used to playing some good players. And then don't get me wrong, Hope has some great players and their coaching staff, so we couldn't take them lightly either though.
Talk about that game. I mean, what impressed me about your whole run is that it seemed like you guys executed a different game plan each night against each opponent. So take us through Hope first. What was the game plan, and then what kind of unfolded on the floor?
Right. So we had to spread them out. We had to get the ball moving because they're a good defensive team, obviously, and we got the ball moving and everything was going in our favor, so it was good.
As a player, it's got to be pretty fun to play against Hope because they like to get up and down. There's a lot of shots in that usually in games. So a shooter, you're right, that's got to be pretty good.
I love that.
So you guys pulled that one out. I mean, pretty comfortably, right?
Right.
Anything after that game that is said at all, or is just on with business?
Well, I mean, that was kind of like our Super Bowl right there because we took down a team that was going for their 8th state championship or whatever. So we were real happy about that one.
All right, so take us to the next one.
So then we played Silver, and I've never even heard of the high school, honestly. And but still, we knew we couldn't take them lightly either.
Our friends at Western New Mexico, which you can catch right here on Proview Networks, we're very happy that you said that.
Oh yeah.
But they have a very good player on their roster, obviously, right?
Right.
They're not as good as the Silver teams of the past, but Coach Sequeiro still had that one stud on his team. And talk about that.
We knew we had to stop him. He was their key player. He was averaging like 20 points, and as long as we stopped him, there was no one really else. And he didn't have the best game when we played them in the pit, so everything went in our favor.
Right. So now it's championship time.
Right.
So take us through championship day. I mean, what nerves are going through your mind before you get to the pit? Let's talk about pre-pit before you even arrive.
Right. So I think I went with Adam to the game. So we were kind of just hanging out at Valley because we all met there, and we're just listening to music, and we're like, it's our time, we've been working. I've been working my whole life to have a moment like this, and so I tried to stay calm. There was so many emotions just going through me, trying to stay calm. I mean, I was happy. There was just so much going on.
Right. And at that point, I mean, you guys obviously have to believe that this is destiny, right?
Right.
I know, believe it or not, there were still not a lot of people at the pit around that were thinking you guys were going to win that, And I know I got to call every one of those games, and I told Adam, I said, they're not going to lose. It's just not going to happen. This is it. I mean, sorry, Travis, but there's no chance. I mean, you guys were executing at such a ridiculously high level. I hadn't seen it in such a long time. Take us into the championship.
We played Las Lunas earlier in the year, and they were keying on me right away, and they had a guy right on me, and that was probably one of the toughest games I played last year because they were after me, and so we kind of knew the same thing would happen in the championship game, so we kind of just spread it out and let everyone else on my team beat them.
It was a 4-on-4 game, basically.
Right, yeah, 4-on-4, yes. And so,
I mean, that's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, a little bit.
But in a way, you have the horses to win that 4-on-4 matchup. But as a player, that's got to be terrible, right?
Yeah, because I went from, I think I averaged 20 points in the state tournament, and they were on me again. And Coach Coleman, he told me in a timeout because I missed like a couple of shots, and he was like, "Don't worry. I mean, playing 4-on-4 is going to help us because no matter if you score 2 points or 30 points, I mean, we'll still get the job done." He's like, "Just trust me."
And you guys did. You got the job done.
Right.
And the best is still to come, man. So,
yes, sir.
District and hopefully another run at the title. Thanks for coming in.
Yes,
That's
thanks
all
for
the
having
time
me.
we have today. Thanks for watching, and good night.